Hey guys, it's Rich with another Tarot Talk video. This one I am doing on the Deviant Moon Tarot by Patrick Valenza. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. It is produced by US Games. This has had a lot of reviews on it, so mine's probably not going to be anything new. But since it is produced by US Games, it comes in the US Games standard little box. Nothing to write home about. Nice little flip-top box. I didn't go for the kit version, which I should have, because the kit version has a bigger book in it. From what I understand, it's a little bit more of a substantial book that I really like, because I do like companion books. I like seeing where the author is coming from, or the artist is coming from whenever they design these cards. This one does come with its own version of the little white book. So, in the standard way of most US Games type of produced tarot, it does come with a little white book, but I will get to the book in a second. So yes, the box, nothing to write home about. The one thing I will say to US Games is, if you have a flip-top box that you are producing something in, please put that little half moon niche in there so I can, easily flip it open. But you know what, like I always say, my tarot usually doesn't live in the box that it came in, and mainly the reason that this one has still been in its original box is because I bought it whenever I was in New Jersey, and it's also the main reason I don't have it in the kit version is because the store that I was in didn't have the kit version, I don't think. And if they did, I think they were asking too much. I can't remember. But anyway, I didn't get the kit version. I got the little deck version only, and it comes with a little white book. This little white book, like most US Games type of productions, is just that, a little white book. It does give, I believe, the Lunatic spread, yes, which is like a little 10-card spread, and it doesn't give the layout itself. It just gives, like, a written version of how to lay it out. So kind of wish they would have put that in there, how it's supposed to be laid out, or included it on one of the cards, but no, they did not. So I wish they would have included that, so I didn't have to go online and look it up to see how the layout is supposed to be done. It gives a little bit about the creation of the deck, little upright and reverse meanings. Not a lot to this as far as the entirety of this little white book. Kind of disappointed in this book. So, with that being said, there's not much else that can be said about it. I will go ahead and bring you guys down to the display area, and we will actually look at all the cards next to the quote-unquote traditional Rider-Waite-Smith deck, so you can see the comparison between the two, in one shot. So let me go ahead and bring you guys down, and we will go ahead and do the deck reveal and review. Okay, again, close-up of the box. Like I said, little flip-top box. Nothing really to write home about. Little white book here. Again, nothing really fantastic about it. Really wish I would have gone for the kit version of the Deviant Moon. So I will put that back in the box until I have a bag for this deck. One of the things that you get whenever you get this deck of cards is a little about the artist, the author, the contributor to this deck. So yeah, you get that. Comparing it in size, it's a little bit longer than the Rider-Waite-Smith deck, but it is about the same width, maybe a hair wider. So pretty much the same width, but the length it's a little bit longer. So you can go borderless with this deck. In fact, they actually have as I throw all the cards around, they actually have a borderless edition that you can buy. I know that sometimes it's cheaper to just buy the regular deck and cut them yourself. Some people like trimming decks. I personally do not. I'm always afraid of trimming a deck, so to me that's something that I just don't do because it makes me so nervous. One of these days maybe I'll do it, but not yet. The back is reversible, so that's a nice quality. They are also thicker than the Rider-Waite Smith deck, so you have a little bit heavier of a cardstock. Not like incredibly thicker. It's not like 2 decks type of thickness, but it is a little bit thicker. So nice stability to it. I haven't really done much with this deck since I've gotten it. So yeah, let's go ahead and see. This is the title card. So I think the artwork in this is very beautiful. It's not necessarily something that is my style of art, but it is a lot of people's style of art, and I do appreciate that. But yeah, this isn't really usually my style of art. It's a little bit more dark. It's a little bit more in your face, a little bit more of a shadow work type of aspect. I do appreciate it. It does speak to me on a level. It's just not something that I would necessarily use all the time. It's a little, like I said, it's a little bit more in your face, making you kind of deal with your crap. So it's a little harsh for my liking, but I do appreciate the artwork. It is a little on the darker side though for me. I think this is a type of deck that I may grow to love, but as of right now, and I just realized that the Strength and Justice card are reversed, so let me go ahead and get the Justice card and pull the Strength card aside for a second. Okay, so there you go. So there's Justice. And then put Strength in there. So it is beautiful artwork in its own right, and I will not knock the artist's capability as an artist. It's just very dark for my taste, my liking. And again, it may be something in the future that I end up growing to love and, using all the time. But as of right now, I'm a little apprehensive, maybe a little scared of what it might reveal. So that's something that I will have to get past and examine about myself and what these cards, how these cards speak to me on that level. I would like to also get the companion book, the big companion book that goes along with this deck, because I think that would have a lot more information than the little white book that comes along with it, as far as why the author chose certain aspects or certain types of imagery for the cards. And one other thing I want to say about this while I'm thinking about it is there's also a lot going on in these cards. There's a lot of little things that you can interpret whenever looking at these cards. So, like a deck like this, it's something that you actually have to sit down and really examine and see what it really makes you feel, what it makes you, confront in your own life. And as far as giving readings for people with this deck, I would not feel comfortable giving readings with this deck until I really get comfortable with it myself. That's just a personal preference. So there are some decks like the Steampunk Tarot that, I can take it out of the box and immediately give a person a reading and have absolutely no problem giving a reading with it. This deck, with being a little bit more outside of the normalcy, I guess you would say, it would be a little bit more difficult for me to give a reading right out of the box with it. I am very dependent on the imagery within the decks. I don't memorize card meanings necessarily. I look at the imagery, either it makes me feel something, or I remember maybe a key phrase about it. Maybe I remember, how it made me feel, or something I've read on it, or, there's some cards that, I felt a certain way at one time, and then I looked at, that card, and it made me, I felt a connection to it. So that card does have a particular meaning to me because of the way that I felt whenever looking at that card at that time. So there are cards like that, but whenever you go from a more traditional style to a more artistic style, that doesn't necessarily go from one deck to another. It's not as fluid. So with a deck like this, where it's kind of in your face, like this guy's poking that person in the eye, it looks like to me, and it's a little bit more in your face, it's a little bit more raw, it's a little bit more edgy. It's not something that really would transfer over from one deck to another, at least with certain cards. With other cards, it's like, okay, that always means this to me. Like for this one, the Six of Pentacles is very much the charity card for me. Now, with this one, I would say that this person's giving charity, but they're also hiding a lot. So that would be something that I would say about this card, but not necessarily this one, because it looks like they're giving away all of their possessions, or they're honestly contributing to charity. But this one, it looks like they're hiding more. So to me, it's something like that whenever I read the artist's interpretations, the author's interpretations of the card, and why they chose the imagery that they did, that would be something that I would understand more. And maybe I would have the same opinion that I just said, or maybe I would have something completely different, like the more traditional meaning that I go with. So something like that is an example of why I would definitely need to work with this deck a lot more than, say, something like the Steampunk Tarot or the Witch's Tarot, something like that, where with those I can take them right out of the box and go into a reading. Whoops. That King of Pentacles was upside down. So that is the deck reveal for the Deviant Moon Tarot. In terms of shuffleability, if you have bigger hands, I would say you probably won't have any problem shuffling these, because they're just a little bit longer than the Rider-Waite Smith. But for me, I do have a little bit of trouble shuffling them because they are, I'd say that's maybe a 1/4 inch longer, maybe a little bit more. Yeah, maybe upwards of between 1/4 and 1/2 an inch. Anyway, again, I don't have any of my measuring tools that I usually use for work here, so I can't give you an accurate measurement. Anyway, it's longer is the point I'm trying to make. One thing I could do, if I really wanted to try it, would be to trim both the bottom and top only. Let's see if that would do it. That would pretty much take it down to almost right where the Rider-Waite Smith is. So I could do that, or I could just, you know, leave it be and adjust and be okay with it. Let's check the bridge shuffle. A little bit more difficult to bridge shuffle, as you can see. First time I've tried that. So a little bit more difficult on the bridge shuffle because they are thicker and also because they are longer. So unfortunately, a little bit more difficult to bridge shuffle. But you know what? I think I can get past that. And you know what? I might end up doing borderless on this and taking it down to right underneath the magician sign there. So I might do that. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Maybe I'll see if there is a smaller version, a slightly smaller version. But first things first, I need to actually work with them before I go buying the Deviant Moon in some other version. But for right now, I am going to put it back in its box until I get a pouch made for it. And there. So that is the Deviant Moon Tarot. I know there's been a lot of different people that really love this deck. I'm a little bit more on the side of it's a little on the edgier side, and I can't really relate to it right now. So for me, I have some reservations on working with it right now, and I definitely need to learn the artist's interpretations for it before I go working with it too much and then end up second guessing myself during a reading. So definitely a deck that I really have to start to try to connect with in order to eventually maybe possibly give a reading with it. So also, one thing I want to say is if I give a reading with this, I definitely have to know that the person is okay with getting a reading with this deck because it is so in your face and edgy looking. So yeah, definitely a deck that would kind of take some prompting of, hey, you might see some scenes that are a little on the scarier side. So just so you know, that type of thing. So anyway, that's all that I have for this review. I will catch you guys next week with another Tarot Talk. Until next time, may you have love, hugs, and ladybugs. Bye-bye.